Overthink With Us, Episode 2, Redefining the Standard.
Hi guys, welcome back to Overthink With Us.
This podcast is a part of Interact Club of TISKL's IU Day.
The info about IU Day is on our Instagram, interact_TISKL.
In today's episode, we will try to give you guys advice based on the questions that you have sent in via our Instagram. I'm your host, Ernita, and I'm joined by my co-hosts,
Andre?
And Sophia.
We're also joined by three special guests today.
Hi, I'm Freida. I'm the IU director.
Hi, I'm Jadon. I'm the Vice Captain of Wesley Methodist School.
Hi, I'm Amelia. I'm president of the Interact Club of Wesley Methodist School, Kuala Lumpur.
So basically, people have sent in questions, like asking for advice regarding beauty standards via our Instagram account. So we will be discussing some of those questions today. So the first one is, how relevant do you think beauty standards are today? Do people around you follow them? And if so, can you give examples of which standards? I mean, I think beauty standards are definitely relevant today, and different standards apply to different people, depending on where you're from and what culture you're from, you know? The beauty standard is definitely not the same everywhere and for every person. Yeah, but it's definitely still relevant. Yeah?
I think it's exacerbated by social media and like how like one trend in one area because of social media can spread like rapidly, and like something that's only in one school can like now affect the whole schools. So that's how like it becomes more relevant due to social media, and with social media filters and everything, it's even faker than before.
Because to add on to your statements, actually, it's like it's us that's giving the beauty standards they're relevant, because if we weren't spreading it around so often, they wouldn't technically be as relevant as they are today, especially.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But I feel like so like beauty standards now, I feel like they've sort of evolved, because in the 2000s, right, there was only one set beauty standard, like skinny blonde girls, but now there are so many, and I feel like that's a result of self-expression. Obviously there are still trends, but I feel like the trends are more diversified in a way, so that sort of creates more inclusivity.
It has definitely gotten better than it was before. I think there are different beauty standards. Like, it's not like one norm that everyone has to follow. There are different trends, and I feel like you can like choose which one
Nowadays
you want
people
to
are more like what Sophia says, like more body positivity and stuff, because nowadays it's not just one size fits all. They're starting to include like plus size models and stuff like other models like that.
Not to say that like there aren't beauty standards, but it's definitely more diversified, because people are more self-aware on like how redundant beauty standards are and like its negative impacts, you know?
Yeah.
I think something also has to be said about beauty standards having something positive, because we're all here talking about why it's bad and everything, but it's good to have a beauty standard as well, as long as you don't take it too far. Because if there's a beauty standard, there's something that we can all strive towards, to be like a better version of ourselves in a way. So obviously it's not good to think I must fit into the beauty standard, I'm like a failure in life, because that's not how it works. But obviously having a beauty standard is good if you want to work on something, say have a fitter physique, or doing things that make you more confident in yourself. So that's another side to beauty standard, in my opinion.
Yeah,
definitely more like, because those are more attainable like standards, you know, those are things that everyone can strive for. But a lot of beauty standards now are super superficial and like totally unattainable to the average person.
You
And
just have to be
sometimes, right, like
self-aware.
there's beauty standards where you're born with and like freckles or something, but then people just like try to paint it on their face and stuff like that. With those kind of beauty standards, if like it's something you're born with, then like you shouldn't like you should if something that's like you have to be born with, you shouldn't strive for it and like try to just like
Oh yeah.
reject your own like physical attributes. Don't reject yourself and try to be somewhere else. You should strive for the beauty standard, but at the same time accept parts of yourself that you can't
Yeah.
really change.
And I think that ties back into what Anita and Sophia said earlier about how like acceptance to beauty standard has gotten better. And like Sophia said, there's many different types of beauty standards you can go for now. So if you're born in like something that you didn't, in a beauty standard that didn't appeal to the beauty standard like 10 years ago, because there was only one thing because of the lack of exposure we had. Now suddenly there's like many different standards that we can strive for. So it makes it easier for us to like accept who we are as well.
Yeah.
Think about relevance. I think the second part of the question about relevance, I feel like it'll be more relevant in certain parts of the world. I feel like Korea has extremely strict beauty standards, whereas back here it's not that strict, it's more laid back. Like, but yeah, that's just based on relevance. And I feel like because of the influence of South Korea, like the K-pop stars and K-drama, I feel like a lot of girls are striving towards being really skinny, which is just, I guess, there's pros and cons to it. Like Jadon said, like they could be a pro, but it could also be a con because they could diet themselves into like eating disorders, which is bad as well. But there's pros and cons to it as well.
Yeah, definitely, because there's like extreme spectrums on like everything, you know.
Yeah, you just have to be self-aware that you're not harming yourself in order to like conform to someone else's standard, you know. As long as you're happy, you have to just ensure that you're happy and enjoying your life instead of just punishing yourself to fit into a standard, you know. Do people around us follow them? Like Malaysian beauty standards, I guess.
I think definitely, because you know, with all like the makeup trends, everyone wants to have fuller lips or like defined eyebrows. And even like older generations, especially in Malaysia, you know, the whole like beauty standard of having fair skin, I think that's definitely imposed upon us, especially from the older generation.
Yeah, like what Sophia said, there's like it's very widespread use of whitening creams here. Like you see ads of it everywhere, like the SK2 kind of creams, and like trying to tie into the beauty standard of fair skin, as you said. Yeah. So yeah, around us, yeah, I do see it. People are getting influenced by these beauty standards.
I also think unconsciously we kind of also add into the problem of like enforcing the beauty standard, because obviously, you know, people who look a certain way are obviously treated better, like unconsciously. Like even to us, sometimes we also treat people who are like more good looking better, you know what I mean? So we also unintentionally enforce like the stereotype of breaking down the beauty standard.
Yeah, I think some of these beauty standards are so ingrained into our culture and like system, like having fair skin. It's definitely something that's been like relevant since colonization. So like the people who raise us, they have that beauty standard in their mind as well. And unconsciously we become kind of used to it. That's kind of like the standard that we expect because it's been the standard for so long. Like a lot of things have changed, you know, like what body shape is attractive or like how like skinny or how you have to be to like be attractive. That changes all the time. But like something like skin color, it's so consistent over the years that it's so ingrained in our heads that it takes a real conscious effort to overcome that kind of beauty standard. Yeah. If so, can you guys give examples of which standards? I think we kind of. Do you guys think there are some standard that's very like prominent? Sorry.
Yeah.
So like in school, I know quite a lot of people like to like straighten their hair or like go for rebonding because they don't like curly hair.
Ooh.
So I used to feel really insecure about my hair. But then as time went on, I saw a lot of like actually social media as well. I saw a lot of people with like curly hair. I thought, oh, it's not that bad. So
yeah,
definitely.
Actually, this is something that was like a big deal to me because like when I was little, I had straight hair, but around when I was 13, 14, my hair became really curly. So it was like a really weird change for me and it was really frizzy as well. And that's kind of around the time that I moved to Malaysia, Where I feel like in Malaysia, the common like hair type is like straight like hair, you know, it's very nice and things. So I became really insecure about my hair, like just unconsciously, because I was like, oh, it doesn't, it's kind of not what everyone expects, you know? It's kind of, yeah. And so, but I like, my mom is really against like straightening your hair or something because it can be damaging, right? So I wasn't really allowed to do that either. So it kind of made it worse. But because I couldn't like resort to straightening it or anything, I kind of ended up like coming to terms with it sooner. Like, it is how it is, you know, it's like just naturally that's what it looks like. And in social media, you're exposed to more different types of people and stuff. So you learn how to take care of your natural hair and some stuff. So I think that was definitely a journey that I had to go through to come to terms with the fact that like, oh, this looks good, you know, this is my natural hair, it's fine. Yeah.
This is another example of how beauty standards can change so much. Because like Amelia was saying back then, like straight hair. But now like I can see all Instagram, everyone's trying to curl their hair now. Like all these like perming creams and everything. And like it's just it shows how beauty standards are ever changing. They're never stationary, and how something that you are insecure about now might be accepted later on. So rather than trying to follow the trends because they're ever changing, accept who you are.
I think it ties I think it ties into what you guys said about like it being ingrained, because Chinese people normally have straight hair. So like when I had curly hair, I was like, hey, this is weird, because my relatives would be like, you have curly hair. I'm like, yeah, I know. So yeah.
Definitely.
The same with my hair. Like the Asian hair is more straight, and then like everyone comments to, like one of the first things they always tell me. I went to my friend's house. They were like, "You want to get a haircut?" It's like they're 100%, they're like not used to at all curly hair, and like I don't even know where it comes from. It's just natural, but like I look at other people's hair and I'm kind of like my hair is like super hard to deal with. I don't know what to do with it. So sometimes I'm always like could I just have some different hair? But I've come to terms with it. I think.
Yeah, I think some standards they're so like normalized. I think it's not like something that Instagram came up with, right? It's just like culturally that's what's expected. So everyone around you will like reinforce it without even realizing what they're doing. So that's the kind of like expectations that are definitely very prominent around us, I think. Yeah. Right? So we can move on to the next question, which is, do guys have any expectations of each other? Jadon?
Directed to the only two guys in this call.
Like what we said just now, I don't think guys have standards of like each other. Like I don't expect Andre to look a certain way. I don't expect like my guy friends to look a certain way, you know? Like you accept them for who they are, and it's fine, because like you don't go up to your bro and you go like, bro, I think you should look more buff or something. It doesn't work that way, lah. But I think the more important issue is the expectations we have on ourselves, especially when we compare it to our guy friends, right? If you see all your guy friends like having a certain haircut, you'd be like, what am I doing wrong? Am I like stuck in the past or something? Like if all the guys like suddenly going to the gym, you're like, am I doing something wrong? You know? So I think it's not expectations of other people, but more so expectations of yourself based off the people around you.
Andre?
It's tied into our like human instinct to fit in. Like it's just you want to go with the flow, because like you don't want to seem uncool, when really like people don't really pay attention. Like if you have a different haircut, like 99% of people won't care. They'll be like, oh, it's just my friend, he's here. Like they really like you in your mind, you really like think they care, and like you're always like, it's like I've had this before, where like when I change something about my look, whenever I hear someone laugh, I'm almost 100% think that it's directed towards me. When like I just learned after talking to my friends that they don't even notice, or they don't even care sometimes. So it's like when people change their looks, or when like you think that you want to change something about yourself, you just have to keep in mind that like the hard truth is no one really paying attention to you. So just do what you think is good for yourself. You accept yourself, and just try to self-love. Yeah, basically
I,
accept
I
yourself.
I also think it's harder for guys to like kind of like what Andre said, change their style all of a sudden. I think it's quite obvious on Instagram, right? Like if a girl posts something, right, the entire squad will be in the comments like, oh my god, so pretty, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Right? You see a guy post something, right? And then his friends like, bro, what's that shirt, bro? Or like, bro, why your hair, why your trim so dead or something like that. And I think that makes it a bit harder for guys sometimes to, I like what Andre said, be more insecure of how you look compared to everyone else around you.
Yeah, there's also definitely like because of toxic masculinity, I feel as well, because you guys have to be one, because like the beauty standards for guys have always been the same throughout the years. So if you like go out of that just a bit, it'll just be like oh my god, what is he doing, you know?
Also, like the thing Jadon said with commenting on Instagram, right? I feel like especially if you're a teenager and then you comment on your friend's picture like, oh, you're looking good, then everyone else in your friend group is gonna make fun of you for like, oh, dude, that sounds so gay or whatever.
Like,
yeah. Like that's definitely something that people need to overcome, right? Like you can just compliment each other without it being so weird. Is that all we have to say?
And I think it's
guys?
also because some guys are insecure about themselves, so they try to push it on to other people, like maybe making fun of other people just so they feel better. But as I've said before, just you can ignore these and like just accept yourself for who you are.
Yeah, people definitely use it as like a deflection of their own emotions, but yeah. So the next question is, do girls have any expectations of each other? Now, my first instinct for this question is to say no, because I don't have any expectations for someone else, right? But like Jadon and Andre said just now, it's kind of like stuff you impose on yourself. Like if someone else here said no, I'd kind of now believe it. I'd be like, he definitely has some kind of expectation, right? But that's just
Really?
because like I have expectations of myself, right? So like you think someone else is thinking about you. So you think like, oh, people want this. So like people are like, say people want you to look really pretty all the time. They don't, right? Nobody expects, like no one here expects us to like look gorgeous all the time. But say that's kind of what I think someone else expects from me. So that's what I would think. Like I feel like I don't have expectations of each other people, but I feel like other people do have expectations from me. That's what I mean. You know? Yeah.
Okay, I see that. But I also don't think I have expectations of other people. Like if they don't look their best like at that certain point, then it's not really that big of a deal as they would think it is. It definitely is more of a mental thing where you do think that everyone is judging you, and that applies for both genders, you know? I mean, but I really don't think that people, like as Jadon and Andre and like Arnita all said, that I don't really think that people have expectations of us like as big as we imagine it to be.
Yeah.
Yes, true. I feel like for me, I wouldn't expect my friends to look like I wouldn't expect my friends to look in any certain type of way. I feel like I hype them out in the comments when they post. I say, "Oh, you look so good," but when they normally, like when I see them, I also tell them, "Oh, your outfit looks really good." Like I won't just do it when they post it on Instagram. I'll do it normally as well, because I don't expect them to look in any type of way. But I understand what you're saying. Like I feel like people expect me. They have expectations on me when they actually don't. The hard truth is, I think no one really cares how I look, which is completely fine, and it's sort of like reduces the burden as well. Now realizing that, but I feel like a lot of people do think that people have expectations on them when actually most people are just focused on themselves.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think because, especially because we're teenagers, right? We definitely have insecurities and stuff. And we feel like people are always paying attention to us. But like we are focused on ourselves, right? That applies to everyone. Everyone's just focused on themselves. Nobody really cares. Like no one's assessing your looks or how you put your hair or anything like that. But we're just so self-conscious. Like I know we're giving advice, but we're probably not that secure in ourselves either.
That's
Freida,
true.
anything to add?
I think that also partially is why we think we have expectations. on other people and ourselves especially is because also our parents, because our parents kind of sometimes they don't let us out the house without looking our best and stuff like that. They'll be like, no, straighten your hair some more. No, you need to wear this or stuff like that because
you have to look presentable.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But there are also some parents who like my parents. Sometimes when like I'm going out just to eat, I want to look my best. So like I'm going through my closet trying to see stuff, and my parents are just like, it's just dinner. Like it's nothing much. You don't have to try so hard. And that like that shows to me that like again people don't care, and like you should and you should just like just do whatever feels comfortable for you. And like I ended up just wearing like a sports shirt and stuff because it was most comfortable. So like it shows me, it's like a good example how like you might try your best, and like it's good also because you can feel good. You can feel and look feel like you look good yourself. Gives you more confidence. No need, but also it's sometimes it's best to just do comfortable and like just do what you just follow your heart, and like so that you don't struggle too much and compare yourself too much.
You don't have to be like your 100% best every single day,
I think the thing with parents expecting something from us is because you kind of represent them, you're an extension of them. So if you look bad, that affects their reputation or whatever, That's kind of the same as if you're doing something for the school. If you're like playing a match to represent the school, they'll tell you to behave properly and stuff, I feel like people only care about like how you look or how you behave if that affects them directly,
Yeah,
definitely.
The next question is, what if I don't feel good about my looks because I don't fit the standard?
This one, can I say something about this one? So basically when I was young, I was like a really bad kid and I went to a Chinese school, kan. So like everyone there was skinny and I didn't fit the standard. And that felt really bad because I got like a lot of comments about my weight. Mm-hmm. So I think I didn't eat. No, I didn't eat. But like I got into an eating disorder because of that. Yeah. And I feel like it's extremely unhealthy it's unhealthy to try to change the way you look just to fit a standard because that's not how you were made to be. And it's unhealthy physically, mentally. And I feel like although it's good to try to be fit, but it's not good to feel so bad about your looks and how you are as a person because just because there's a standard doesn't mean it should apply to everybody. Yeah. And just because you don't fit the standard doesn't mean you're any less than you are.
Yeah,
true. Exactly.
Definitely.
Because like even with me, like because even though we live in Malaysia, right, and everyone here wears the hijab, but like in school, when I was wearing it, I feel like I was the only person who wore the hijab. And I feel like that definitely sort of impacted me a bit. I was like the odd one out, and like sometimes I would feel like, oh, I'm the only one wearing it. And I'd feel kind of like not confident in myself and the way that I'd wear it. But over time, I feel like more people have been wearing it in the school, and even like on social media, the representation is more positive, and that's definitely helped like a lot,
Yeah,
it's a journey. It's all about accepting, finding, making peace with whatever.
Because like, I'm not gonna change myself just to fit in some temporary standard.
Yeah, like for instances where you don't feel about like fitting into the standard, right? When I moved to Malaysia, the standard, I wouldn't say the beauty standard is drastically different in Malaysia than it is in Bangladesh. But when I moved, I kind of gained a lot of weight like throughout the process of moving because I was very unhappy with the fact that I was moving to a different country and everything. So I gained a lot of weight during that process because I was like very demotivated and upset about it. I started at a new school, right? And in a new country, completely different environment from what I was used to. And like Amelia said, like everyone around you is like skinny and usually that's the standard. So, and I was usually a very confident kid, like when I was younger. I was around 12, 13 when I moved here. So that's kind of like the turning point, right? You've just become a teenager. Now you're more conscious of yourself than you were before. So, and then you look around you and nobody around you kind of looks like you. because like in our school especially, there aren't a lot of like Bangladeshi students. Like, so I was kind of just like, I wasn't alienated, but I felt alienated from like my peers because I thought I had to like change myself a lot to fit into that standard of like what it was in school. Even though nobody really commented on it or anything, like looking back at it now, people will be like, oh, you look so different. But like at that time, no one really mentioned anything about it. But I was so conscious about it and I would beat myself up. And that kind of like added so much pressure onto myself because I was already like dealing with a lot, right? I just moved to a different country, new school, and you know, workload and everything. So there was a lot of pressure on it as well. And then I put this pressure onto myself, even though nobody was really bothered by it, but it was just like something I was conscious about. So you will definitely face points in your life where you won't feel good because you're not meeting the standard that's around you. But I mean, it's easy for me to say now, but definitely if someone said that to me then, I wouldn't be like, oh, this is such good advice. But you have to learn to like come to terms with the fact that this is how you look and it's fine. And the standard around you exists because like probably people around you are genetically supposed to look like that and you're not, you know? And the standard it's different for everyone. You cannot put like one basic standard for everyone. It doesn't apply to everyone because our bodies are different, our how we think it's different, where we come from, it's different. So you just have to get through that part and you have to overcome that hurdle and realize like you look good the way you do. And the standard exists for like, it doesn't have to apply to everyone, you know? People who fit the standard, sure, they look good and everything, and that's fine. But you don't have to fit to the standard to look good. You have to just come to terms with how you look and accept that that's beautiful too. Because usually you are beautiful, even if you don't like, if you're not as skinny, you know, and if you have straight hair, that doesn't.
No, because I said if you think about it, even those that supposedly do fit the standard, even they are sometimes unhappy with themselves, either because they feel like they need to gain weight or anything else. It's basically society is never happy with what you are. So you should try to focus more on how to improve yourself as a person and how to basically love yourself in a sense.
I was just saying that like I feel like this pressure to fit in like in one specific standard is emphasized even more because of Instagram models, because like right now honestly they all look the same. They all look like honestly most of them do look the same, especially the Western ones, you know. They look
Western
like
ones.
identical Barbie dolls. And you know, if we all looked like that, then it'd be really boring. Like humans were, like Arnita said, humans were made to be genetically different. We were all supposed to look different anyways. And if we all fit in one standard, then there would be no variation. It'd be boring. So just like own your differences.
Yeah, I think going on from that, it's important to know who we are comparing ourselves to or who's setting the standard. Like Sophia said that what we are looking up to Instagram models to see what the ideal beauty standard should be. But honestly, if you see your Instagram page and then you see yourself in real life, right, you feel like you're on Tinder and you get catfish by your Instagram personality and your actual personality. You know what I mean? So it's also important to remember that these Instagram models or influencers are human too at the end of the day, right? And they are looking their top like 100% for that video, for that post, for that TikTok, you know? But you have to remember that's not how they look all the time. And if you're trying to look like that all the time, that's unattainable because you can't be in real life, you can't have everyone looking at you from a certain camera angle. You can't have everyone look at you in certain lighting. You can't have everyone look at you with a certain type of makeup on, right? So in that sense, you have to remember that it's unattainable. What they're showing you is the best of the best. It's impossible for you to reach it, but that shouldn't dishearten you. You're not any less valuable than them. In fact, if you can accept who you are based on your own standards for yourself, then I think that just makes it so much better than pandering to something that influencers set the bar so high for. Yeah.
We also have to keep in mind, like, this is what they do for a living. Because if they didn't have this, they basically wouldn't have a job and they wouldn't be able to eat and basically put food on the table. So we can't exactly blame them for looking their way. But what we can do is try to just accept that we have a different standard compared to them because we're genetically different as well. And we don't have to necessarily fit into their standards because basically everybody is unique. Not one individual is going to be the same person.
Yeah, exactly. I think like everyone said it very like well, you know.
If we're comparing to like standards set by social media, like we keep saying, it's always going to change. Don't beat yourself up to meet like whatever the standard is now. It's by the time you get there, it's going to be something else, and then you're going to beat yourself up about it something more. Changing
Like
yourself, try to come to terms with what you have. You know, what you have is probably great.
Definitely, not probably. Definitely great.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Definitely.
Is it normal to have body hair?
Of course.
Yeah.
I think it's genetically different for other people. So some people might not like have it or at the same level as other people.
Yeah.
So it's normal to have what you have, basically. I'm not saying it's normal to have body hair. I'm just saying what you have is normal because that's how you're supposed to look. That's how you were in your genes, and that's what you should look like.
Like Andre said, it's genetically different, right? I can see where this insecurity comes from because, say, if you're from South Asian descent, you definitely have more body hair than like other people around you. And I know like a lot of people, like even like a lot of kids when they first start like having body hair and like going through puberty, right? That's the first thing you notice about like yourself that's changing in a way that people don't like, you know? Like if you're getting taller, that's great. Like that's something everyone will compliment you for. But people comment if you have body hair, they'll be like, "Oh, are you sure you don't want to like shave it or something like that?" You know, that's very common. And like people of South Asian descent, that's definitely something we face a lot. And I just want to say, like, to any like young girls that are listening, it's really normal, and people are really like crappy for pointing it out all the time. And anyone that has body hair, really, it's really normal. And just because people ideally don't like it, does not mean it's weird or abnormal. It's just something people have yet to come to terms with or like normalize.
I think the standards more more affects women more because women the society is obsessed with silky smooth skin and like obsessed with the almost like plasticky kind of look. So that just sets unhealthy standards because a lot of people are born like body hair is part of, but if you biology, body hair is
what makes us mammals, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's an advantage, and if it was a survival situation, like survive better and like
you guys would
and like have more advantage.
Yeah.
Have body hair basically, but if you do have kind of like example, you have an eating disorder, you tend to grow hair basically everywhere that is not the places that it grows like on your hands, basically your chest and everywhere because your body's trying to insulate you basically.
It's not a bad thing, like especially like Freida said, to insulate you, right? That's an advantage for you. That's good for you. I know that that's not the standard. Like you're supposed to be clean shaven and like Andre said, like plasticky, you know, smooth and everything. That may be the standard, but that's not what's normal. Like this is definitely one of those standards that's not like recent, you know, that's something that's been ingrained in our like culture and our society for so long. And it's definitely one that is very ingrained in our heads. But just because that's the standard doesn't mean that that is what's normal. That's what's expected of you. But what's normal is for you to have body hair.
I remember I saw this one girl on TikTok. She basically got like into an accident horseback riding, and then she kind of broke her leg and she had to put it in a metal cage. And basically, I'm pretty sure she grew a lot of leg hair, and people on TikTok were kind of bullying her for it, saying like, "Oh my god, why can't you take out the cage? Why can't you shave it?" You saw the one? Yeah. Basically, it was just a really toxic place, and I feel like that shouldn't be the case, especially in our modern day and age. People should be more accepting of each other. Which is like, why are we regressing rather than progressing?
I think just to put things into perspective, right? Like what Andre said just now, it's biological for us as mammals to have hair or fur, right? And I don't know, I saw this somewhere on the internet, right? Apparently, all across your body, there's hair. Like every inch of your body is covered with hair, except like your palms and then like your soles of your feet. Like if you look everywhere else, there's like very fine strands of hair. So, I mean, it's normal.
It's part of biology.
Yeah.
Every human has it.
And it's there for a reason.
Moral of the story, it's normal. Do stretch marks matter? That's the next question. No.
Not at all. Not at all.
Personally, I feel like stretch marks are kind of cool because they're kind of like a symbol of growth, you know, that your body is growing and yeah. Yeah,
And
I did
for like
not word that properly.
for like pregnant women, right? It's kind of like a trophy to symbolize your child, like my body made a child, like I'm capable of that. And I've seen Instagram moms, you know, I think that's what, like they're called Instagram moms, like it's all about their life. And then it's like always like, oh, this cream to remove your stretch marks after, and like, you know, like the pregnant belly after giving birth, like there's still a bump there, trying to remove that. But
It's a
I'm always
flat
like, why are you trying to do that? It's like a testament to like you made a child, you should be proud of it. And like it just doesn't make sense why they're trying to remove it. It's like,
I
it's
mean,
beautiful.
if you are someone who's going to go out and like shame women for having stretch marks, right? Then you're gonna tell your own mom like, you shouldn't have given birth to me, so like you wouldn't have stretch marks. Like it doesn't make sense to me. Like,
Yeah, and I think this goes back to like Andre's point of us being expected to be like plasticky and like nothing on our skin except for like silky smooth skin, you know.
And pregnancy is kind of not the only way that you can get stretch marks. If you like gain weight and something, that can lead to stretch
or
marks
even
as
if
well.
even if you work out, you know, and you gain muscle, you still have stretch marks from that.
And if you personally don't like it, right? Like, we're not saying that, oh, you have to come to terms with it, and if you don't, that's wrong. But like, if that's something that makes you insecure, that's also like something you can overcome. But I don't think it should matter. It does matter. Like, you know, people will, like, there are people who will point it out and stuff, but it shouldn't matter. But if that's something that you are insecure about, like, right? If you have insecurities, you also have the right to, like, you know, change something about themselves, so you don't have to be insecure about, you know, if it's something that's going to really affect you bad, you have the power to change that a little bit, but not to the extent where you are like getting plastic surgery and like harming yourself, you know.
It's like you follow your heart. Like if you sometimes you just can't come to terms with it. It's also like you can come to terms with your own body, but it's also okay to come to terms with your insecurities, your heart. Like if you really believe and like you really want, it's okay to try to change, and like it's okay to change, but you shouldn't feel like you have to. You shouldn't feel like
we're just
like I think the main message that all of us are trying to bring to you is that don't push yourself to extremes to follow extreme beauty standards to a sense where it'll harm you. If you don't like the way your hair looks, then if you are a guy, I don't know, put wax or something. That doesn't harm you. That probably just makes you wake up earlier in the morning before you go to school. That's fine. We are all for that. If it makes you feel better about yourself, we respect your right to autonomy. That's completely fine. But we're just here to tell you, if you're like, if genetically you are bigger than everyone else, don't starve yourself every day to achieve something that you can't achieve. So do things that make you feel good about yourself, but don't try to make yourself feel good by harming yourself. I think that's the thing we're trying to push for. Yeah.
Very good summary. Yeah. So we only have 2 more questions left. One of them is that I can't stop comparing myself to other models. The thing with social media is that you see a lot of different people, right, on social media. And that exposure can be good and bad, because what you see on social media is usually not the truth. Like, especially with influencers and models on Instagram, they're professional makeup, editing, cameras, everything. So they're literally putting a lot of effort into what you see. And you can't expect yourself to look like that, because hours have gone into that one picture that you see, from like waking up, taking care of themselves, like the clothes they wear, the makeup they put on, from like the camera angle to the editing, and they can change a lot of things about themselves. So what you see on social media is so far from the reality of the person. And so you cannot expect yourself to look like that all the time, or compare yourself to them.
I'm gonna say like just unfollow them, because like what Andre mentioned previously in episode 1, that now he only follows basketball memes. You should just unfollow those people that make you happy, because if you keep comparing yourself, you'll never truly find happiness within yourself, and you'll just constantly it's like in the rat race. You keep chasing for more success and success, but you end up with nothing instead. So it's better to just now stop, think to yourself, is this person making me unhappy? And if they are really making you unhappy and they're making you compare your body to theirs, just unfollow them for a while. Let yourself, or even take a social media hiatus just to calm yourself, and then go back and think to myself on this.
Same.
Kim?
Oh, like I think just to go on from what Frida said, I think 2 questions ago or something like that these people are professionals when they do it, but also to go on from that, I think naturally, like without all the makeup, I think these people are better looking than average for them to able to garner such a high following on social media. So if they already have like the genetical boost almost, like
Advantage.
we have things that they don't have to commit to. We have to study until like 3 a.m. if we want to like do well for IGs. They can sleep when they want because all they have to do is make sure they don't have like dark circles under their eyes. For us, if you have dark circles but we get A star, then like okay lah, dark circle but still A star, right? It's blessed, right? Yeah. So just remember that they already have that genetical boost, and also that their lifestyle is centered around looking good for one picture. We can't attain that because first, we are all usually average looking, and we can't have the same lifestyles they have.
Yeah.
I think comparison, right? It's like in all aspects, right? It's mostly if you're comparing yourself and you feel bad about it, it's wrong. Like if you're comparing your looks and you feel bad, it's wrong. If you're comparing your grades, you feel bad, it's probably wrong as well. Because when you compare, the goal is to make yourself feel better. So if you feel worse about yourself as a result, there's probably no reason for you to compare. And I think, right, like the only person you should compare yourself to is like probably the person you were yesterday with some inspirational quote. But I think it's really nice because that's the only person you should compare yourself to. No one else, because it's not gonna make you happy. It's not gonna change anything as well. So if you can't stop comparing yourself, and it's like if it's a habit, try to break it. Like what Frida said, take a hiatus or something, or like unfollow them, because you shouldn't like spend your time comparing yourself to other people, because it's just gonna make you feel worse about yourself, and that's not good. Yeah.
Okay, so our last question for this episode is, how are we supposed to get rid of the standard?
I think the answer to the question, the standard is always going to be there. There's you can never really get rid of the standard. Like people are always going to have this, like society's always going to have this image in their head of like what you're supposed to look like. So instead of getting rid of the standard, I think your main goal should be to come to acceptance with yourself, and to also not follow the extremes of the standards, because it's always going to be there. So you have to accept yourself.
Yeah, like what Andre said, because like social media influencers and even like beauty brands, they benefit off these standards. They exploit your insecurities and stuff. So definitely the only way to combat these standards and to prevent these type of people from exploiting your insecurities is to come to acceptance to them and to love yourself.
Basically, in my opinion, if you want to stop with like the standard, first things first is that you yourself should stop perpetuating it. Perhaps like don't compare yourself to other people first, and then if you stop comparing yourself to other people, and we do this for multiple generations, then slowly the standard will fade. Basically, it will take time. Obviously, it's not something that happens overnight, but with time it will. If we stop
I think we can't really like force society to change their mind all at once, right? I think it begins with us. So basically, we can't change the opinion of our entire society in like one single way, right? It comes to terms with like an individual coming to terms with the standard and realizing that this is unhealthy and this probably isn't the right thing to expect from everyone, right? So it starts with you accepting that this beauty standard might be toxic or harmful to the people around you. And that's kind of how we start to overcome the beauty standard. There's not one single way that we can overcome it as a society, I think. Yeah.
I don't want to sound like very pessimistic like that, but I think there's no way that we get rid of the beauty standard. I think it's just more coming to accept it for 2 reasons. Like the first reason being like the nature of the standard itself. Like all of us here look different, right? I don't struggle to tell one person apart from the other. And that's because we all look different. And I think out of variety springs a standard, because like everyone has differences. And obviously when there's differences, there's a standard. For example, all the phones we use are different. And that's why there's this gold standard of what phones people should have. There's like different standards of cars. Like, obviously that's why a Lamborghini costs way more than another type of car. You know what I mean? Because there are different standards of cars. So at the end of the day, the standard is going to stay. But more than that, I think the standard also constantly evolves. And I think when I saw this question, it brought me back to this like viral, I'm not sure if it's a meme or it's just a viral internet sensation a few years back. It was about this Persian lady, like back in the 19th century, where she was, by today's standards, overweight. And she had a beard as well. And the title was, "This princess had 13 men kill themselves because she rejected them." And by today's standards, you'd be thinking like, why would 13 men kill themselves without being offensive, an overweight lady with a beard? So after fact checking it before this podcast, I realized that some parts of that might not be true. But the main gist of the story was basically back in Persia for a while, having a beard was considered beautiful. And the whole 13 men kill themselves thing, also possible, right? So if you take us going back now, like Andre and myself, would we kill ourselves if this woman rejected us? Probably not. But at the same time, if you bring those 13 men to us right now, if they came into the podcast now, they'd be like, why all these people look so weird, right? So that's just a testament to the beauty standard constantly evolving and constantly changing. So if we can already establish that there is a beauty standard and there'll always be a standard, and this beauty standard always evolves, like what Anita said at the beginning, different countries, different backgrounds, different cultures that you're in. So if the standard is going to be constantly there and it's going to be constantly changing, I think we all have to come to terms that we are who we are. We make the best of our situation. If we can't reach that unattainable beauty standard set to us by Instagram models, then we're just going to have to be happy with ourselves, because the only alternatives is feeling bad about ourselves or embracing who we are and saying like, whatever lah, this is me lah. Like, I'm going to be happy in my own skin. Then so be it. I'm not going to be depressed because everyone else is going to say you don't look like that Instagram model. And at the same time, don't perpetuate that on other people.
Society is extremely obsessed with perfection. They really want to be the best of themselves, but nobody's perfect. Even the most beautiful people in the world, they still finds things about themselves that they don't like or they feel is not what they want to be. So if you keep chasing it, you're not gonna find anything. You're not gonna find your happiness. If you get one thing, you're just gonna point at another thing and find something new about yourself that you don't like. So just like Jadon said, you have to accept it, come to terms with it, and you shouldn't really strive for perfection because it's unattainable.
I think the question says, how are we supposed to get rid of it? I feel like you shouldn't oblige yourself to get rid of it. I feel like, as the rest of them said, it's always going to be there, and don't pressure yourself to get rid of it because we can't. But like other things in life as well, there are some things that we are not in control of, and I think this is one of them. But what you can do, what you can control, is yourself and your reaction towards this kind of standard. So I think Freida said something about how you can stop being one of the people that propagate this standard, and that is true, I think, because if you don't engage in the standard and you then eventually it doesn't mean that much to you anymore, then you won't feel like you obligated to fit yourself into this standard. So it's always going to be there, but you can learn to accept yourself and love yourself more, and I hope you become a happier person.
Yeah.
I think we all said
like
what we need to be said. So how are we gonna wrap this up?
Yeah, so moral of the story is basically that it starts with yourself and coming to terms and accepting yourself and self-love. So that's all the questions that we have for today's episode.
We hope that it makes you feel better about yourself. Hope that you come to terms with yourself and realize that everyone's different. So you're beautiful. Accept yourself. Hope
our opinions helped you. We hope that our opinions and what we've shared does help you feel a bit more confident about yourself too.
Yeah, so thank you for listening to this episode of Overthink With Us. We have one more episode left that comes out next week, so make sure you tune in. And thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of Overthink With Us. Be sure to tune in next week to watch our finale. Make sure to follow our Instagram page interact_TISKL to keep yourself updated.